What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 4 of The Mental Game. I'm your host, JJ Crum. This week, we're going to be touching on an article that was posted on the Players Tribune by Cavaliers star forward Kevin Love. Kevin got the chance to meet up with 4 UCLA students as well as a professor in psychology and psychiatry. This week, I wanted to kind of touch on this video just because I thought that it was really important to kind of touch on the stigmas of mental health in the Black community, especially with men in general. Let's get straight into it. The reason that I thought this conversation was so good was because it kind of touched on something that's been kind of near and dear to my heart, which is kind of just how men don't really open up about mental health at all. I think that it's really hard, especially when you're thinking about athletics, how you're always supposed to be tough, you're always supposed to be always not supposed to show any type of weakness. You're always supposed to be the one to kind of lead by example. The whole thing about mental health is that you can still lead by example by opening up. And that's kind of what Kevin Love has done, and even DeMar DeRozan, which Kevin mentioned how DeMar, he actually talked about how, especially in the Black community, it's really, really difficult to kind of open up about how you feel, especially for Black men, because we're supposed to be the pillar, we're supposed to be the ones that no one ever sees weak. But in reality, it's actually detrimental to our own health and our own mental health because we never really open up about the struggles that we go through. Everybody struggles with different things, so whether that's family issues, whether that's mental health disorders, mental health issues, whether it's relationship stuff, whether it's sports, it doesn't matter. But for men, it's really imperative that we start to kind of take this stuff seriously, because at the end of the day, you don't know what anybody's life is like and you don't know what anybody else is going through. So when Kevin kind of talked about how when DeMar opened up about his depression, that helped him to kind of open the door and start talking about his anxiety attack as well. And I think that those are only 2 things other people go through that go through substance abuse issues. They'll go through death in the family. They'll go through relationship issues like I was talking about. And there's so many different things. People deal with schizophrenia, psychosis. There's a whole list of just mental health disorders and just mental health issues in general that I can go on and on about. But for men to kind of just start talking about it more and more and start opening up about, like, yeah, like this actually sucks right now, or yeah, this is actually something that I'm struggling with right now. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. You're not seen as weak. You can still be seen as somebody that's a pillar in the Black community. You can still be seen as somebody who's a pillar in your own community, in your household, whether you're a husband and you have 5 kids that all look up to you, or whether it's just you and your girlfriend and she leans on you. It doesn't matter. I think that men should definitely just open up about their mental health, because you never know what anybody's going through. So in the conversation that they had, Kevin kind of talked about how DeMar touched on how race plays a big role in mental health, which I definitely think is true. And I think that the reason that is because of the history of what Black people have always had to kind of overcome, you know what I'm saying? And so he also talked about how DeMar said that the reason that a lot of Black people don't like to talk about mental health in their communities because it's used as a weapon against them versus something that can actually be talked about in a way that can be helpful for them to kind of overcome a lot of different areas of adversity. I remember in episode 1, we kind of touched on how mental health and depression, anxiety, and other mental health issues can hit anybody regardless of your status, regardless of how much money you got and all that stuff. And to hear Kevin say it is actually, it's relief for me to hear from somebody who is in his shoes, you know what I'm saying? So the fact that he's a millionaire playing a game that he loves in front of thousands of people, and he's still struggling with all these different things. But I'm sure there's many other athletes that are struggling with this stuff that they just don't feel comfortable enough to talk about it. 1, because they're men, and 2, because it's just the stigma around sports. And I haven't even touched on how women in sports also deal with the same exact thing. And so the women have actually done a much better job as far as talking about mental health in their community, especially in the professional sports community. And I'm hoping that they can rub off on the men as far as allowing us to be able to express ourselves without feeling that we're weak or that we're less than. And so I think that just kind of tying all that together is just all about stigma and how we need to continue to break it down and encourage one another, encourage other men to kind of talk about exactly how they're feeling. So whether that's going to talk to a therapist, whether it's going to talk to a counselor, whether it's going to talk to your parents, it doesn't matter who it is. So I think that just having this conversation in general was really great, and I can't wait to hear more and more about it as Kevin Love continues to talk about it, as DeMar continues to talk about it, and as we continue to talk about it. That's all the time we got today. Let's keep the conversation going at JJ's Mental Game on Instagram. Also, make sure you guys go watch the full video on the playerstribune.com website. And also make sure you guys go subscribe to the Costin and Hammer Network. Appreciate you guys.